Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you happen to be joining me. Welcome to Lunch with a Life Coach, episode 19. I'm Deanna, certified life coach, fitness professional, professor, etc. And today, this episode actually stems from a really similar conversation that I have had with three different people over the last couple of weeks. And so what I often try to do is of course, without breaking confidence, etc., but look at the common challenges that I see and hear from personal training clients, from life coaching clients, from wellness coaching clients, the other things I hear from friends and family, right? And so here is my one question for you today on Lunch with a Life Coach. Why do we give so much grace to other folks, which is lovely? Meaning, why do we say things such as, hey, if you're struggling with this big task, you've got a mountain of things to do, you know what? I want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. Do 10 minutes of work on that mountain of tasks, whatever that might be. 10 minutes of work is great. It got you started. You started to tackle that thing. That is a superb idea. And we give those ideas to others to help them take some of the pressure off, to know that they're only human. They are doing the best they can with the current skills, tools, abilities, time, capacity, all of that. And yeah, we cheer people on to do things like that, to break down those complex tasks, to rest when they need to rest. Here is my question. Why do we easily, kindly give that grace to other folks, but we will not give that type of grace to ourselves? It is a question I have asked myself. And I said, these topics for different episodes here and on Find Your Fit with Deanna come from, clients, etc., and also struggles that I've been through. Because, again, without sharing a story that's not really my story, but I have played part of, a character, for sort of lack of a better way to say, in somebody else's journey. There were many times connecting with professionals as I was supporting other folks that those professionals would say to me, why can you not give yourself a little bit more compassion? Where's the self-compassion? And so I would say, well, the self-compassion doesn't get her done, right? There's no action behind that. Like, we just need to fix this. We need to get moving. We need to do the thing, right? And so were it a friend of mine, I would be cheering from the rooftop to add a little more self-compassion, give ourselves a little more grace. But when it's me, right? Anybody else with me? It's me. I'm like, well, no, you can just do 10 minutes. That's not good enough. You got to do it till the thing is done. So here's what I want you to, there's two things. One, the self-awareness that we do that. And two, kindness, self-kindness, because we do that for a reason. What is that reason? One can only know, right? There may be reasons that actually, and I've spoken about this before, there's a very distinct line between coaching and counseling, or coaching and therapy. I am a coach. I'm not a counselor or a therapist. So the things I share with you stay very much within the scope of practice of a coach. There may be reasons for that lack of self-compassion that actually come from some trauma that you've had. If that's something you're aware of, then I would really strongly invite you to reach out to maybe your family doctor, because oftentimes family doctors have a team of folks that you could access, a counselor, etc. Okay. So staying within the coaching scope. So I don't want to avoid or minimize that. Some of that, when we're so hard on ourselves, some of that comes from, really traumatic experiences. And I offer to you that it's just not within my scope of practice, and it's actually not within any coach's scope of practice, unless they're a mental health practitioner, to be speaking to you and digging into trauma and things like that. Okay, so let's shift to what is within a coaching scope. So here's what I want you to think about. Why are you you got to ask yourself a question. That's what we do in coaching, right? Is that self-awareness to just ask, why, if I were to say to somebody, so here's an example. Let me think, how many years ago? Oh my goodness, almost 10, no, more than 10 years ago now. I actually hurt my hip quite significantly. And I had a 3-year journey of injury, diagnosis, physio, yada, yada, yada. And I finally had to have surgery to get this repaired. Thankfully, I had a fabulous surgeon. All things are great. Hip is great now. But in that process of being able to do this before I'd hurt my hip, being able to teach 20, 25 fitness classes a week, which is probably why I hurt my hip, by the way, because there was not self-compassion, because there was the foot on the gas to just do the thing and not rest, right? I'm giving myself a little bit of heck here, folks, as well, getting you to think about. I want you really to dig in, like, why in a journey, for example, like when I had that, not being able to, I was able to do this. Then I quickly was like, oh my goodness, I can't do that anymore. This hurts, that hurts. I've got to modify. I've got to ask for modifications in my workplace. Ew. I would have said to any one of my employees, how can I help? How can I accommodate? Of course. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't have the same grace and compassion. So why is that, right? I want you to think about that. If you notice that for yourself, why would that be? So one of the things I want you to think about is asking that question out loud. And I know for me, it's the piece of like, I'm just supposed to be able to do it. Like, I'm the one that people depend on. I'm the, I'm the people pleaser, the one that's supposed to take care of other people. And I can't break. I can't bend. I've got to, okay, you know what? Here's the thing to think about, that if we do need to rest, if we do need to, the world will go on. The sun will rise tomorrow. It's that also, I invite you to think about, we talk sometimes in the coaching and sometimes in the psychological space. Now, I will not to contradict what I said earlier, but there are many behavior change theories and psychological theories that actually inform coaching to help us understand, but again, not diagnose or treat a mental health condition, okay? So in the psychological space, we, or in the coaching space, blending into that psychology, right? We can often think about some of the things that really make us do things that don't really make sense, right? Maybe don't make sense. That we are hard on ourselves because we need to continue to move forward, to think about, the world can't go on without me. And so I invite you to think, and you may have heard this term, think about our ego, right? That's the thing that drives a lot of our behavior, because we don't want to, we think we're irreplaceable. We think we are, the one that has to do everything. And that is actually driven a lot by our ego, and not sort of the other side of us that's just to say, you know what, the world's going to go on. I don't have to do all of those things. I don't have to be the one that jumps into rescue. Again, if you are sort of that person that like jumps into rescue and jumps in, I want you to explore that. That often has some psychological and traumatic roots. Okay. So it's, again, what is within that coaching space is to ask those questions. And sometimes, and here's an analogy I'll use. You've probably heard me use fitness analogies before, imagine. As a fitness professional, it is not within my scope to diagnose somebody with high blood pressure. But should I be checking somebody's blood pressure and I notice that those numbers are higher than they should be, I check it again. Pardon me, I notice those numbers are still higher. I don't diagnose, but I can be the one to invite that person to check in with their doctor who can diagnose. And coaching and counseling are a little bit the same. So we can explore some questions in coaching where I might say to you, like, why are you not giving yourself grace? Why do you think you have to do an hour of work, but you'd encourage your friend who you know is struggling a bit, you'd encourage them to break that up into 10-minute blocks. Why do you feel that you must do it to completion? It needs to be perfect or not at all, right? And that pursuit of perfection, right? That pursuit of perfection can come from a number of different roots. And what we can actually look at, again, as a coach, asking those questions, sometimes for folks, things come up and you go, goodness, that's why. It's like me noticing your blood pressure is higher as your fitness pro, inviting you to talk to your family doctor. I want you to think about that when I ask you those questions, to say, hey, what is the root of that? Right? When you were we often hear the eldest daughter who has to do all the things and take care of all the things. And we go, well, that was my role, right? There might be some other things that actually begin to move out of coaching. And I'm going to invite you to connect with a counselor, right? So that lovely relationship between coaching and counseling is really useful and understanding. So today, folks, if you notice you are not giving yourself the grace, think about, if you're working on something, you're trying to obtain a goal, you're trying to, get a certain thing done. What I want you to think about is, if you're struggling, what would you say to your friend? If your friend was having this in the same situation, what would you recommend, encourage of your friend? And I want you to write that down. And I want you to put that note on your, fridge or your lock screen of your phone that says, hey, friend, I know you're talking to yourself, but I want you to be your own friend. Hey, friend, it's okay to break up that task into 10 minutes. Hey, friend, it's okay to rest. Hey, friend, my worth isn't tied to my productivity. Okay. So it's a bit of a heavy topic today, right? I would love to hear what you think. Comment below, of course, more privately if you'd like to email me, deanna@deannalangfordcoaching.com. Be more than happy to chat with you a little bit, because this can be a little bit tricky, right? It can be a little bit heavy. If you want to book a free call, you can actually do that through my website, just deannalangfordcoaching.com. There's a little book now button. You can book a 25-minute free call and we can chat a little bit about that, especially if you're thinking, I feel a little bit like things are rattled, right? It's the best way that I can, or unsettled. And you're like, oh dear, I need to percolate. I need to work through that a little bit more. Okay. I would invite you to consider booking a free call, and then we can maybe chat a little bit and see if we can help things get a little bit more settled, a little less rattled, to wrap up this idea. Okay. We will see you soon. I am cheering you on to give yourself self-compassion, self-kindness, and grace. See you soon.